One two one two one two pa 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 da 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 da. Bum bum. Fix my mustache. Could have done something about my hair though. Hello, hello, hello. Right. I'm gonna get this in my face. Get these in my eyeballs. Salt and pepper. Induction. No, Dana White's nightmare comes true as UFC star. Questions. Conor Ben of the Chris Eubank, of the Eubank Ben rivalry that their sons have now inherited. I'm Team Ben all the way. No offense, Chris. But in this case, I'm going Sean O'Malley because Sean's a dude. It's been through a lot. Been through enough anyway. To earn my respect. In a boxing match, though, I mean, come on. I don't know. Too soon to say. I've literally just found this out right now. What else is in the reel? Discord ends partnership with controversial age verification software. Twitch immediately says, "Hold my beer." Wow. Ending partnership with age verification. And what does that mean? Discord's not going to age verify anymore? Does it get any worse for kids these days? Twitch is asking new affiliates to submit selfies and government IDs to controversial age verification platform Persona before they... That's great. Before they receive payout. So you only have to verify that you're an adult if you want to make money on Twitch. But feel free to garner an audience as you wish. Twitch is acquiring new affiliates before their first payments, blah, 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 blah. What about Discord? Discord recently announced that its partnership with Persona has ended. So they're not going down that route. We didn't break anything. We didn't bypass anything. That's enough exposure to the architecture of a global surveillance system. Maybe the problem isn't us. If that's enough to expose the architecture of a global surveillance platform, maybe the problem isn't us. What are they hinting at? If someone asks you to take a selfie to prove you're a human, ask yourself who's on the other side of that camera and what lists do you land on? I mean, I don't know enough about Discord's data protection policy to comment on that, but everybody who's on the internet is guilty of this, of having access to lists. I mean, all of digital marketing is about the acquisition of contact lists so that you can market and remarket stuff to. And if you're not going to do that, so you can sell it on to somebody who will. What else we got? UFC. Causes of death released from Martin Short's daughter. I didn't know he had a daughter or that she died. Ex Diablo 2. This is just, what my browser aggregates. So full transparency here. This is, my data. But if you want my email address, you got to pay me first. No. The Rock killed SummerSlam. No, enough about The Rock. I was talking about it for a whole 20 minutes yesterday. If you want to check that one out. I'm going to make some reels on it as well, I think. Games inbox. Nope. Chris Hemsworth says leaving the U.S. was the greatest decision. Is that for tax reasons, Chris? Financially? Wives react to husband shaving their beard. Huh. I was just thinking about, not my beard, I was thinking about shaving my head this morning. Hello?
No!
Hey,
What? No. No. Just go away. Oh my gosh. You're horrible. Just go away.
First of all, imagine if this was like a man reacting this way to his woman's haircut or her makeup or anything else that would be superficial. Yeah, I don't think the internet would react in the same way. They would not find that to be funny. Outside of that double standard, put aside, I understand that that would be kind of a shock to see somebody, like if you haven't ever seen them without a beard or if you just haven't seen them in a long time without a beard. Because of that, it's normal to have some like shocked emotions. But the thing is that when men go through this, when a woman stands in front of him and surprises him about anything with her physical appearance, he on the spot has to get with it. He has to control those emotions.
Oh, you look,
just react right off of it.
lovely.
Which I think is another demonstration of how men will oftentimes actually emotionally regulate a little bit better than women do.
No one wants your man.
I don't think that we're emotionally regulating better than women. We're just trying harder. We're not wired to do that any better, I don't think, than women are. I think that just because of social pressure, as she just pointed out, we put more effort into it. Before and after pics. Jim Carrey's face make his tune-ups undeniable. I don't even know what that headline means. Trump announces new retirement plan at the State of the Union. Oh, there was a State of the Union address. I missed that. Might set a little time aside just for that. I did a live stream commentary on last year's State of the Union address, which was loads of fun. Neuroscience reveals manifestations, brain-based power. Oof. I think it's too early in the morning for that. It's too much science for me. I don't think I've had enough coffee. Maximal strength, key to all fitness gains. That's surely not that groundbreaking, is it? What happens when trust becomes a weapon? Ooh. I said to myself that I'm going to go down rabbit holes of curiosity.
It's brought to
It
you
piques
by
my curiosity.
Gamer
I'm
Subs. They make amazing zero sugar. I never drink anything with sugar, and to have a drink, it's delicious. After I tell you to go to gamersubs.gg, obscure and esoteric term. It was media, community, in though it originated, which we'll do after I tell you to go to gamersubs.gg/ITS and use the code ITS for 10% off. And now today's video. The term gaslighting has existed for 85 years now, though it originated from pop culture.
How many years?
It largely existed in the psychological community until it began getting used in media in the 1950s. Even then, though, it remains a rather obscure and esoteric term. It wasn't until the mid-2010s that the word's usage exploded. In the lead-up to the 2016 United States presidential election, a number of American journalists wrote that Donald Trump was gaslighting the American public. This resulted in a lot of Americans trying to figure out what gaslighting meant and how to use the word, and as a result, it won a number of notable distinctions. Gaslight was named the American Dialect Society's most useful new word of 2016, and Oxford University Press named it their...
So gaslighting officially became a word in 2016. I thought it was like, because it sounds quite old-timey, like gaslight, you know, like when they had oil lamps in the streets instead of light bulbs. In my head, it was like, I always thought it was kind of like an old word, actually, not like a new word. Okay. Learn something new every day. Good to know. 2016. Okay.
runner-up for most popular new words of 2018.
The most popular word of 2018, apparently. 2020?
2022, Gaslighting was named
Word of the Year
by Merriam-Webster Dictionary because it was the most searched-for word on their
So Merriam Dictionary describes it as psychological manipulation of a person, usually over an extended period of time, that causes the victim to question the validity of their own thoughts, their perception of reality, or memories, and typically leads to confusion, loss of confidence, self-esteem, and self-esteem, uncertainty of one's emotional or mental stability, and a dependency on the perpetrator. Gaslighting can be a very effective tool for the abuser to control an individual. It's done slowly, so the victim writes off the event as a one-off or an oddity. He drank too much. She's having a bad day. And doesn't realize that they're being controlled and manipulated.
website. And the following year, gaslighting was the most popular word definition searched for on Google in the US. The most Googled word in the UK that year,
Most
by the way,
Googled word in
was
the UK?
pegging. Since exploding in popularity in
God bless the
2016,
British.
gaslighting has been the topic of countless articles, TikTok videos, and memes. Unfortunately, it has also been used so frequently and oftentimes incorrectly that for many, the word has begun to lose all meaning. So today, we're going to look at exactly what
So while the US was curious about what gaslighting means, the UK was curious about what pegging is. Special, what is it? The special relationship between the US and the UK is ever evolving, so it seems.
gaslighting is, exactly what it isn't. But first of all, let's take a look at where the word comes from. Psychological terms are generally pretty straightforward.
Whoop, 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 lag.
Forward and descriptive, yet it's impossible to determine what gaslighting means from the word itself. And that's because gaslighting is considered a colloquialism rather than a clinical term, although the phrase does sometimes show up in clinical literature as there isn't another word that could directly replace it. Gaslighting is one of many behaviors seen in
The joys of the English language.
controlling and abusive relationships. But there wasn't a single word to describe this specific behavior until the release of the 1938 play Gaslight by
There you
British
go.
novelist and playwright Patrick Hamilton. The play ran
1938.
for 6 months, which was pretty typical at the time, but it made a lasting impression on audiences. It was quickly adapted into a British movie in 1940, a Broadway play in 1941,
So the word gaslight was coined, the word was coined in 1938 because it was a title of a play, right? And I think we did this in high school or middle school. I remember reading this. Something to do like, it's called Gaslight because
and an American movie in 1944. Both movies are considered classics in their respective countries, and there have been numerous adaptations of the original story since, including a 2019 podcast featuring Chloe Grace Moretz and a modernized version of the plot. The original story was set in the 1880s in London and centered around Jack Manningham and his wife,
Jack
Bella.
Manningham.
Bella was raised by her wealthy aunt, but her aunt was murdered when she was 14. About 15 years later, she met Jack, a man roughly 10 years her senior, and the two had a whirlwind romance, with him proposing to her after only dating for 2 weeks. Jack and Bella lived together on the first floor of the house that she inherited from her aunt, with the second floor being abandoned. As it turns out, Jack was only interested in Bella as a way to gain access to the house, and every night he disappeared while
Crafty
refusing to
Jack.
tell her where he was going. While Bella was alone, she would hear footsteps in the walls and in the abandoned upstairs of the apartment, and she insisted that the gas lights that lit the house would dim. When she expressed concern about these occurrences, Jack would tell her that she was imagining things and it was all in her head. Of course,
So he was
well
gaslighting her.
aware that they were really happening because he was the one causing them. Every night, Jack would go to the aunt's apartment in search of her precious jewels that he was unsuccessful in stealing years earlier when he murdered her. Turning on the gas lights in the upstairs apartment would cause the other lights to dim, but because he couldn't let Bella know what was going on, he had to convince her that she was insane instead.
Oh, that is. See, I was wondering, why is he taking us through the whole play? But it actually gives a whole new depth to the word gaslighting. So the dude, she thought she was going. She sees the gas lights in the house getting dimmer, and the only reason why they're getting dimmer is because he only married her, right? So he can get access to the house, so he can get access to the jewels. And he's looking for the jewels at night while she's sleeping, and that causes the lights downstairs to dim. And the only way he can, pass it off is just by telling her, "Oh, you're crazy." So it's not that he's trying to convince her she's crazy because he's just an abusive psychopath and gets some kind of sick joy out of making her think she's crazy. It's just that it's more convenient for him than giving, and he can't come up with any other explanation. So if, in the absence of any other explanation, he just has to say, oh, no, you're crazy, or you're stupid, or, you're whatever.
Film has a lasting legacy because of what a realistic depiction it is of an emotionally and psychologically abusive relationship with a narcissistic
Immature
partner.
or
it showcases not just gaslighting, but other tools used by narcissists to control people,
uneducated,
such as love bombing, isolating them from
foolish,
others, and triangulation, or the introduction of a third person into the relationship, though often the original partner in the.
What is the narcissistic triangulation? What is that? Sounds like a submission move.
Or such as love bombing, isolating them from others, and triangulation, or the introduction of a third person into the relationship, though often the original partner and the third party may only communicate with one another by way of the narcissist. In the play, the third person is a man.
Okay, so I think that he's going for what the rawest, what the most fundamental definition of the word gaslighting is, and how the reason why it was probably the most Googled word in whenever it was 2022 is because people use it in different contexts. And it tends to get associated with things like narcissistic and abusive partners, blah, 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 when they're cheating, or, the proverbial jewels that they're trying to steal or whatever. I see. Interesting. I thought I knew what it meant. I kind of knew what it meant, but that gives it a whole new depth.
Maid, hired by Jack, who he both turns against Bella and openly flirts with in front of her. Although Jack sometimes raised his voice with threats, and there was.
All right, I don't want to go too deep. This is a long video. I'm not going to spend a whole 20 minutes, but that's interesting. What else has he got? Any data?
Evidence of only serves to confuse the issue, but that was the whole point. The goal of gaslighting is to leave a person full of confusion and self-doubt, questioning their own reality. And after an extended period of being broken down bit by bit, it can become difficult for the victim to recognize what's happening.
Okay, we read the definition. Yeah, thanks.
Challenge their own self-image. This is why their gaslighting is almost exclusively reactive. And again...
Oh, he's going to go through all the different, like, the common categories of gaslighting. All right, we got the gist of it. We got the vanilla flavor of gaslighting. The root. What else? Is Xbox dead? No, we went through this already. I did read a headline, though, yesterday, not here, about a new CEO or something. She was head of marketing for Procter & Gamble, who make like all kinds of fast-moving consumer goods. And at one point, some other, like, nothing to do with gaming company. She knows nothing about gaming, basically. She's not a gamer or anything. That's, I think, who's replacing Phil Spencer. Or I may have got my wires crossed. Anyway. But she really, really, really wants to. So I guess they're going for enthusiasm over experience. Which I get is kind of the flavor of the era. Because we want innovation in the face of AI, like we want people who are thinking outside of boxes. And the best, I guess, way to do that is to find people who have never been in a particular box to think outside of it because they've been out there the whole time. Yeah. A monkey found my hidden camera and left an unexpected reaction. Monkey's doing funny stuff. Yay. What is love? Women always lying, bro. The street dating debate went off the rails. Street dating. What does that mean? Is this the next evolution of a situationship? Yeah, I street date. Yeah. I keep it casual. 6 reasons Gen Z is driving managers crazy and why they're right. Okay, I gotta look at this. Oh, it's a slider. Okay. Right. Some managers perceive Gen Z's growing social awareness and push for inclusivity as divisive or even toxic. They expect companies and their peers to openly express their values, which breaks traditional office norms and can cause division and conflict. Openly express their values by working with a different group of Gen Zs. I think this is probably a very like American. Whenever they talk a lot on the internet, like oh, Gen Z, it's like in reference to Western and most certainly American Gen Z. I think that it doesn't take in the cultural diversity that can occur. There's different flavors of Gen Z. This is, I guess, maybe American Gen Z is vanilla. If other ones are derivative of that through popular culture and the consumption thereof via smart devices and the interwebs. Just saying. Hashtag just saying. Social norms evolve constantly, and Gen Z is simply asking their workplaces to reflect the societal changes happening in the world. Adapting to these changes can be tough. Okay, whatever. Gen Z has grown up with heightened awareness of global issues like climate change and social justice, and they expect their employers to care just as much. I don't know. I mean, I'm 43. I'm a Xennial. I haven't felt that, but I mean, I haven't managed Gen Z. No, I would say there were Gen Y. No, I haven't had the opportunity to. I worked with Gen Z, but I haven't had the opportunity to manage them, to be like a manager of them yet. That'll be interesting, and I think we're gonna get along great. Actually, I'm all for it. Yeah, disrupt the status quo. Let's go. I think I'm exactly the kind of manager Gen Z deserves and wants, frankly. Like many younger generations in the workplace, they seek more advice and more support than their older, more self-assured counterparts. I'm a qualified teacher. Seek away. I'm happy to share. Would you like a PowerPoint presentation? Let me whip out my old whiteboard here. Hand me some markers. Explains that this generation requires more personalized and hands-on leadership. They want mentors who help them progress in their careers, not distant supervisors. Amen. Preach. It's about fucking time. If this is a headache for managers, this is a headache. Why managers, driving managers crazy and why they're right. Yes, they are right. They are very, very right. And you know, like, I won't hide the fact that it has been for people like me, workers like me, employees, entrepreneurs, whatever. It's been tough to try and climb the greasy pole of the career ladder, you know, to climb the greasy pole into manager positions, because people like me who want, you know, like are a bit more empathetic, a bit more team players, you know, I get a joy. That's why I deviated into teaching. That's why I went into teaching, because I really do get a joy from giving somebody the tools and the knowledge they need to progress and do something and letting them do it. And if they do it better than me, that's a double win. But in the older generations of managers, that was not a strategic way to progress your career. And there was like a whole milieu of office politics. And some people were very good at that and playing that politics so that you don't come across as somebody who's stepping on other people's backs to get places, you know. But I think those kind of workplaces are slowly dying. You could see from small to medium and large scale companies, the companies that are making this shift that Gen Z wants or have been making it before they started asking for it, they're the companies that are pulling ahead in their respective industries and markets. Challenges traditional workplace norms. Yes. Good. Doesn't take initiative. Gen Z doesn't take initiative. Okay. So here's the other side of the coin. The common complaint reflects the perception that Gen Z employees are lazy and unwilling to go the extra mile. I don't think that they're lazy and unwilling. I think they just don't see the point in the current, that there has to be the shift when there's this kind of resistance. Like the photo is a bit dramatic. It looks like it's AI generated as well, but Gen Z business owner. Oh, here we go. Aya Barma. Young workers see their jobs as means to pay bills and are not willing to make extra efforts without fair compensation. Yeah, 1,000%. That I have seen. That is palpable when you work with Gen Zs, for sure. And and the other way in return, like when they see somebody who's working alongside them and doing extra stuff, they just they really genuinely don't get it. Like I've heard colleagues of mine just thinking that they think that I'm either crazy or stupid for doing things like overtime, going the extra mile, and that kind of thing. They genuinely don't get it. They're like, yeah, I agree with this one. Reality, it makes sense. Gen Z workers don't see the value in working overtime without proper compensation. In a world where fair labor, maybe they're smarter, maybe they're right. Maybe that's the right. Maybe that's how to avoid burnout. It's a strategic thing to do. But, it's a bit of a catch-22. It's not about a lack of work ethic. Okay, so that's that one. Interesting. Very interesting. I agree with some more than others. Men are dying a silent and slow death of loneliness, and why therapy isn't fixing it. I have a feeling I know what this one's going to talk about, but that's some stuff I was watching yesterday. What women mean when they say they don't want a nice guy, by The Modest Man. Is The Modest Man a blog? Or an online magazine? Okay. Another slider. Why women mean they say, what would they mean? You spend years playing the rules, avoiding modern conflict, and putting everyone else in needs, blah, 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 blah. These are 15. When women say, nice often equals passive. The absence of boundaries. Conflict avoidance is not harmony. Hidden agendas and covert contacts. Oh, covert contracts. What's a covert contract? She can sense the I did this for you, so you owe me energy from a mile away, and it feels incredibly dishonest. Real generosity is given freely without a tally sheet running in the back of your mind. Yes. The need for validation. Constantly asking for a pat on the head for basic adult behavior is a massive attraction killer. If you are doing the right thing just so she will tell you that you are a good boy, you have traded your masculine authority for her approval. Yes. Predictability kills attraction. If she can predict your every move, word, and reaction for the next 20 years, the mystery is gone. Okay, this one this is more directed at younger people who are dating, right? If you've been in a relationship long enough, everybody gets to this point. If you've been living with the same person for long enough, the mystery does go. And if the relationship falls apart when the mystery is gone, not every relationship is meant to last. And the ones that do last are the ones that there's still something there when the mystery is gone. You have to, what is dating if not unraveling the mystery, right? So it's like you open this box, you're opening the present, and then you open up and you see the gift, and it's this great jacket, so you've even gone there. And then you put on the jacket and you realize it's too tight, or it's too loose, or it's too... the material doesn't feel right. It's too big. It's too, whatever. Too something. Too predictable in this case. Kills attraction. Dishonesty through omission. Many men think they are being nice by biting their tongue, but they are actually being liars. When they hide their true opinions or desires to keep her happy, you are presenting a fake version of yourself. She cannot truly love you if she does not actually know who you are and what you think. Yeah, this is a bit so yeah, and then you do that and the mystery is gone, right? So kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't there. but at least you arrive at the inevitable conclusion sooner, so you waste less time, I think, is what is to be read between the lines here. Lack of protective instinct. This has nothing to do with getting into bar fights and everything to do with emotional reliability. If you will not stand up for her or even for your own values, she will never feel safe in your shadow. A woman needs to know that when, I'm just reading, by the way, this is not, a woman needs to know that when the world gets loud or people become disrespectful, there is a line that cannot be crossed, because being a nice guy often means you are too soft to protect the things that matter most. Yes, there's a difference between being a good man and a nice guy. The pedestal problem. Putting a woman on a pedestal is the fastest way to ensure she looks down on you. That's beautifully poetic. When you treat her like a goddess who can do no wrong, you are no longer her equal. You are her servant. This creates a massive power imbalance that makes it impossible for her to feel any genuine desire for you. She wants a man who can call her out on her nonsense, on her bullshit, and meet her eye to eye. Treat her with respect. Treat her with the respect she deserves as a person, but never sacrifice your own status just to elevate hers. That's some pretty solid advice right there. I'm not going to challenge that one. Emotional self-sufficiency. Your wife or girlfriend should not be your only source of emotional support or social interaction. Yes, great in theory, but jealousy is a real thing. Yeah. If she is your therapist, your best friend, and your only hobby, the pressure on her will eventually become unbearable. A man needs a board of directors, other men who can check his ego and provide perspective outside the home. When you are emotionally self-sufficient, you bring stability to the relationship, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Half person who needs decisiveness is a skill. Saying, I don't care, you pick, is not being easygoing. It is being a mental burden. Okay? The difference between agreeable and respected. You might be liked for being agreeable, but you will only be loved for being substantial. Being a yes man might make your daily life smoother in the short term, but it makes you invisible in the long run. Leading the dance. How many more? There's 2 more. Leading the dance. In any partnership, someone has to set the tone for the environment you live in. A nice guy usually waits for the permission to lead, while a good man simply creates the space for things to happen. Yeah, but what if nothing happens, you know? This is about taking ownership of your home's energy and direction. Yeah. And finally, taking ownership of mistakes. The nice guy often plays the victim or makes endless excuses when he fails to meet an expectation. He wants to be seen as a good guy so badly that he cannot admit when he's been a bad guy. A mature man does not hide behind his intentions. He owns the results of his actions regardless of what is intended. When you mess up, yeah. And, oh, this is the last one. Integrity over likability. Being a nice guy is about how others perceive you. Being a good man is how you are when no one is watching. Abso-fucking-lutely. But here's the thing. When no one's watching you, that includes her. So, I mean, some of these are a bit like nice, great theories, but in practice don't really work. And I think the rest of them that are very practical and pragmatic advice, they are true for the average, right? So the average man in the average relationship with an average woman. There are exceptions to the rules. These are not, you know, the 16 commandments of the nice guy. So take that with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. A psychologist says if you've done these 4 things recently, you're burnt out. Ooh, do tell, because I've been wondering.
Last 30 days at your job, you're If you've done any of these 4 things in the past 30 days at your job, you're probably burned out. That's according to organizational psychologist Emily Ballesteros, who
Sounds
literally
fancy.
wrote the book on burnout.
She wrote the book on
first one is that
burnout.
You cried at work or while working in the last 30 days.
Cried
Now,
at
on one
work.
hand,
Hold on. Cried at work or what was that? Cried at work or
that you've cried at work or while working in the
cried at work or while working
last 30
in the last 30
Now, on
days.
one hand,
No, I have not, but I did have to fight back a tear at one point. Yes. And it actually was on a very, very difficult night. I was working way past my limit. I even got pulled aside by a team manager who told me, "You look seriously sleep deprived and you look like you're burning out." He actually said it. And I think he said it because he saw me, fight back that tear while talking about something unrelated to work. Anyway.
And who among us hasn't used the office bathroom for its true purpose, locking yourself in a stall to silently sob? But for the vast majority of people, bursting into tears comes when you're already at the end of your rope. It's not so much an indicator that things...
No, bursting into tears, no. I have not done that in the last 30 days. I don't think I've done that at work in the last 5 years or so. I think I did it once, actually. I think it happened once when I was teaching, I think, many years ago. Yes. But I was in a counseling section, in a counseling session with the, because all schools are contractually obliged to have a therapist on site for students and teachers. And I was in a session with the counselor there. And so, I thought if anywhere there's a place to let this go, let me let this go. So I really I wanted to cry that day. I wanted to let it out.
Things are untenable, as it is an indicator that things have been untenable for a while now. So it might be time to take a step back and make some changes. Number 2, you're having nightmares about work. Experts say this is an indication that
I have not had nightmares about work. On the contrary.
things have become so stressful that you're fixated on work even while you're sleeping. It can also mean that the only time you actually have bandwidth...
That's not true, actually. I did have one dream a couple of weeks ago. I wouldn't call it a nightmare, but it was it was the last thing I want to happen. Outside of being fired, it's the last thing I would want to happen at work. So yeah, it's just, I'm a grown man, so I wouldn't call it a nightmare. I didn't wake up scared. It would take something more than that to scare me in my sleep. It's just a job,
With to process your stress is while you're unconscious at night. Major red flag. Number 3, you've had to catch up on work outside
That's
of
two.
work
That's
hours in the
two.
last
Two
3
for
days.
2.
This happens to pretty much all of us now and then, of course. But Ballesteros says if it's happening consistently, it can be robbing you of your identity. As she put it, a lot of people in this situation end up with a full resume, but an empty life. So if you relate to this, it's probably time to talk to your boss about your workload. People in this situation end up with pretty much all of us now and then, of course. But Ballesteros says this happens to pretty much
what's this
major
one?
red flag. Number 3, you've had to catch up on work outside of work hours.
Catch up on work outside of work hours? Nope.
All of us now and then, but an empty
Not an
life.
issue.
So if you relate to this, it's probably time to talk to your boss about your workload, which can be very stressful, of course. However, experts say that finding a trusted colleague or a neutral third party to discuss things with first, and then approaching your boss after you've come up with some actual potential solutions can make the conversation go a lot more smoothly, because it shows your boss that you're...
But on reflection, that's not really an issue for me because at the moment I'm kind of freelancing and part-timing and gigging. So it's hard to define when work actually stops. Yeah, I do talk to my students in between lessons. I do plan things in between lessons. I do some designing and, for posters and stuff. I have a Discord channel for co-work. I come to think of it, I think the reason why I don't recognize that I'm working outside of work hours is because I'm pretty much switched on and working all the time. So yeah, that's 3 out of 3.
You're being proactive about the...
I'm not being paid for some of it. It's just what we were saying earlier about putting in the extra effort and the extra work that Gen Z doesn't recognize. See, if I was Gen Z, I wouldn't be doing any of that stuff. I'd be asking for more money from my students at the risk of losing them as clients, and losing the opportunity to progress my career, which is what they don't see the point in doing.
The problem. And finally, number 4, getting sick or having an accident sounds like a vacation. Yeah, if you're feeling like this, it's time.
Getting sick or having an accident sounds like a vacation. It doesn't sound like that to me. I can't afford it. I've been sick as a dog, and like I use my voice for almost everything I do for income. And I had a really bad flu. It was every word and swallowing everything. My throat was just in constant pain. But I just was taking, lockets, teas, gargling with hot water, gargling with salt water, doing whatever it took to just keep pushing through it. And I pushed through it for a whole week until the virus was gone. So maybe that's another red flag. Maybe that's 4 for 4 because I'm past the point of thinking that I can afford to have a vacation or time off.
Time to back off. Whether it's having that conversation with your boss about your workload or having a conversation with your partner about your at-home to-do list. Something's got to...
Having a conversation with my partner with my at-home to-do list. I'll have to think about that one.
Give, because feeling like the flu would be a vacation is among the reddest of red flags. So if any of these resonate with you and you feel like you're on the cusp of burnout, it's time to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. It'll improve not just your mental health, but also...
Okay. So I'm burning out. Okay, noted. 5 out of 5. Doesn't feel like I am. I don't know. I don't know. I feel fine. Really, I do. Maybe, I don't know. What I tell people when, like my team manager or like my friends, like my colleagues, even some of my students, one of my students pointed it out as well. Like she offered me to reschedule because she was just kind of like feeling guilty. She was like, we don't need to do this right now, sir. And my response is always, I'm enjoying it, like some people thrive in chaos. All the cliches, I throw cliches out like, oh yeah, some people thrive in chaos. Some people like the high stress environment or the high energy. I'm a high energy person, so when my lifestyle matches my energy, I'm performing well. I'm content. Blah 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 blah. But I don't know, something to think about. Naturals versus steroids. Who is actually stronger? I mean, isn't this kind of a redundant? Isn't it kind of obvious? Surely steroids are stronger. Built for quality, not commodity. No more AI stuff. New study shows you shouldn't try to cheer up an anxious person. Well, I know that. I know that through experience. What is this stuff? Slang the baby boomers used daily. And this is like an infinite scroll, by the way. That's why I like it. This is like the reader's version of a TikTok or Instagram reel. And I'm not saying I'm a reader, but this is me trying to read more. This is how I... Timothy Chalamet says he could change name as a major life change looms. Why? That's a great name. Timothée Chalamet. Why would you want to change that name? Gen Z's enthusiasm for all things touchable is resurrecting the analog economy. See, I thought I was imagining this, but it's true, and it's costing parents. They're driving a boom in vinyls, CDs, record players, valuable, tangible things, and music experiences instead of digital streaming. Vinyl sales, again, I think this is a very American thing. Like, I haven't seen a single vinyl store in Riga, in Latvia, but I do see things like comic books, other things that are touchable. Collectibles, gaming related stuff like that are very popular with Gen Zs. Both of them are under 20 years old. Okay, so Gen Z is under 20. Okay. So these are like my students, right? Not like my coworkers. Or I think maybe. No, I'm not Googling. I'm not Googling. It's not part of the agenda today. We're just going to keep scrolling. How are we doing for time? Oh, 50 minutes. Getting up to the 60-minute mark. There we go. I don't think I've ever scrolled this deep into this thing. 10 unrealistic relationship standards women often have. Yeah, let's see the other side of the fence now.
Standards women often have. He must always know what she's thinking. Expecting him to sense your thoughts.
You must always know what they're thinking. Trying to relate it to the previous one, right? So let's start there. You must know that you cannot be too nice. And you must know what nice means for her, okay?
Without communication leads to frustration on both
sides.
sides.
You must know what too nice means, because of course you don't want to not be nice at all. You just need to know what too nice is. Because maybe she does want to be put on a pedestal, but doesn't want you to let her make all the decisions from up high on her pedestal. Figure that one out. If you do, let me know in the comments below.
When he inevitably misreads your needs, he should never struggle emotionally. Expecting him.
He should never struggle emotionally. We talked about this yesterday with The Rock, right? Who contractually is not allowed to appear weak in anything that he does. If you want to hire The Rock, even if it's like for a burrito commercial, he must appear strong. If it's a fight scene, he must win because he is The Rock. And this is the prototype that we all should follow.
Never to have emotional lows, suppresses vulnerability.
No emotional lows. Suppress your vulnerability like a real man.
Allow both partners to share support. He must provide constant excitement.
Constant
Expecting
excitement.
non-stop thrills misreads normal, peaceful moments as boredom and overlooks the beauty and comfort of stable intimacy. He should be financially perfect from day one.
Financially perfect, straight out the gate, boys. No, we'll figure this out together. No, like struggling together forms bonds for life. None of that shit. You rock up with your roll of cash and you lay that shit on the table like a real man.
Expecting early financial perfection overlooks career growth stages and may unfairly dismiss hardworking, ambitious partners still building stability.
Oh, they're critiquing the unrealistic. All right, yeah. Run that by me again.
Still building stability.
Undermined, unfairly dismisses hardworking, ambitious partners who are still building stability. Yeah, so I was thinking about this when my brother, my sister, and I were in school. There was, I won't name names. There were a couple of boys in one particular school that we went to. It was a private school, very uppity. And I remember when we were like the American expat novelty family. And when we showed up, my sister she had quite a few fans. And the really wealthy boys, their attitude was, well, I'm wealthy and I have status. And like they must have been like 12 years old. We're talking like pre-teens, like boys or early teens. And they would get really angry and frustrated that she wasn't like impressed by that, or that she liked other boys maybe more than the ones that were the wealthier ones. Entitled, that's the word I'm looking for. They felt entitled to any woman, any girl of their choice in the school because they were the wealthiest. So the unrealistic expectation that women have, the unrealistic standards. If a woman chooses a man like that, who has all the riches but doesn't know a single thing about the hard work that goes into earning it. They just got lucky, or they inherited it, or, maybe they made some really good decisions straight out of high school, or whatever it is. Timing is an important thing as well. Then they might be with somebody that has money, but they're with somebody that if that money ever goes for whatever reason, or if he stops wanting to share with her, what then? What you have is a loser, basically, with a lot of money, who has no ambitions or other than expecting somebody to hand him money and no work ethic.
Partners still building stability. He must share every single interest. Demanding total hobby overlap stifles individuality. Healthy relationships thrive on both shared activities and respecting separate
Absolutely. Couples who play together, stay together, they say.
personal passions. He should always text and call first. Expecting him to always initiate contact burdens him and implies unequal investment. Healthy relationships share communication efforts mutually.
Yeah, I think that women of younger generations have that standard, unrealistic standard, more than older ones, and I think that smartphones are to blame for that. Like, you have to message me first. You have to, send the icebreaker. You have to, initiate the conversation and initiate it like a pro. And nothing less will do. I won't, because I'm the woman, and that's what you have to do. You're the man.
He should never disagree with her. Demanding constant agreement suppresses his true thoughts, breeds resentment, and overlooks the healthy value of differing perspectives. He must look
Healthy value of differing perspectives, as opposed to having him just agree with you all the time. Yeah, I've seen reels on Instagram where there are, and they joke and they laugh about it, like, even guys do it. Even guys are making content that is like, oh yeah, happy life, happy wife, happy life, just agree for my own safety. There was one that was like, he was making it like his life is at risk. Yeah, it was with a dog or something. And it was like saying me, like overlay me. And the other one was like my wife, and it was two animals or something. Like, you've seen those, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're feeding into some of these things. I mean men, we feed in, we enable some of the behavior. We enable some of these expectations to arise.
perfect all the time. Insisting on flawless grooming all the time ignores genuine attraction in everyday moments and masks the value of deeper qualities.
Wow. That one takes me by surprise. Run that by me again. That they expect us to what? I've been massively ignorant about this one, I think, most of my life, not my adult life. He must look perfect all the time. Yeah, I struggle with this one.
Insisting on flawless grooming all the time ignores genuine attraction in everyday moments.
Ignores genuine attraction in everyday moments. Yeah, so this is like what we were saying about musclerexia, bigorexia. It masks the ability if it's like when women would not leave the house, or no, not move out of the bed without putting their makeup on. Like, they would stay married with a guy for years, and the guy never knew what his wife looked like without makeup on. There were some guys who insisted, like, if a woman came to breakfast without her makeup, he'd be like, get back, go put your face on, woman. What are you thinking, And that's flipping upside down now, and that's expected of us. And that diminishes the ability to be attracted to one another in the absence of that perfection. Everyday moments masks the value of deeper qualities. That's another interesting point. Like when you have a really thick veneer of perfection on the outside, it's very easy to hide how ugly you are on the inside.
And masks the value of deeper qualities. He should never need space. Overlooking his need for personal space creates pressure and potential burnout. Respectful time apart enriches the bond.
Like with the saying, as a saying I like, beware the knight in shining armor, for his metal has never been tested. The guy who walks into a room in sweatpants, when he walks into the lobby of the hotel in sweatpants, you know, and his old t-shirt, is doing that confidently. That's because he knows there's more to him than what meets the eye, and he's just going to have breakfast, you know? Again, on average, there are exceptions to the rule.
Bond and intimacy. He must always plan dates and surprises. Expecting him to plan every date burdens him, risks imbalance. Sharing planning duties keeps the relationship balanced and fresh.
Okay. Interesting. Coming up to the hour now. That'll do me for this morning. That's the end of this cup of coffee and the end of this live stream. End of my vlog entry for today. Thank you, anybody who ever watches this. See you next time.